the queen on her throne. Seraphina Blackwell didn't walk through the halls of Crimson Vale Academy. She glided. Her designer heels clicked against the marble floors like a countdown to judgment. Students parted before her like the Red Sea, their eyes following her with a mixture of fear, envy, and admiration. At 19 years old, Seraphina was perfection carved from ice and wrapped in Chanel. Her platinum blonde hair fell in perfect waves down her back. Her blue eyes were the color of a winter sky, beautiful and cold. She wore her power like a second skin, every movement calculated, every word sharp as a blade. She was the daughter of Victor Blackwell, owner of Blackwell Industries, the most powerful corporation in the country. Money wasn't just something her family had. It was their weapon, their shield, their throne. "Good morning, Miss Blackwell," the students whispered as she passed. She didn't respond. Queens didn't acknowledge peasants. Beside her walked Marcus Sterling, her fiancé. He was handsome in the way expensive things are handsome. Polished, perfect, and utterly without soul. His father owned Sterling Enterprises, the second most powerful company in the nation. Their engagement had been arranged since they were children, a business merger disguised as romance. Marcus placed his hand on the small of Seraphina's back. She allowed it because that was what was expected. She didn't love him. She wasn't sure she was capable of love. Love was a weakness, and Seraphina Blackwell had no weaknesses. "The charity gala is tonight," Marcus said, checking his gold watch. "Your father expects us to make an appearance. Smile, wave, pretend we care about the poor. You know the drill." Seraphina's lips curved into a practiced smile. "Of course. It's good for the family image." They entered the grand hall where the gala preparations were underway. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen tears. White silk. Everything sparkled, everything was perfect. Just like Seraphina's life. The servant's mistake. A young girl in a simple black uniform was arranging flowers on one of the tables. Her hands trembled as she worked. She was new, probably a scholarship student working to pay for her tuition. Seraphina recognized the signs, the cheap clothes, the nervous energy, the way she avoided eye contact with the wealthy students. The girl reached for a vase, and her elbow knocked over a glass of red wine. The liquid splashed across the white tablecloth like blood on snow. The girl froze, her face pale with terror. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, grabbing napkins to clean up the mess. "Please, I didn't mean to. I'll fix it. I'll pay for it." Seraphina approached slowly, her heels clicking ominously. The girl looked up, and their eyes met. Seraphina saw fear there, pure and raw. "Good. Fear was respect. You'll pay for it." Seraphina's voice was soft, deadly. "Do you know how much that tablecloth costs? More than you'll earn in a year scrubbing floors and serving your betters." I'm sorry, Miss Blackwell. Sorry doesn't clean wine stains." Seraphina picked up the ruined cloth with 2 fingers, holding it away from her body like it was diseased. "This is why people like you don't belong in places like this. You're careless, clumsy, worthless." Tears filled the girl's eyes. Around them, students had stopped to watch. Some looked uncomfortable, but no one intervened. No one ever intervened when Seraphina Blackwell was delivering judgment. Marcus laughed, enjoying the show. "Just fire her, Sarah. Get someone competent." Seraphina opened her mouth to do exactly that when a voice cut through the tension like a knife through silk. "That's enough. The devil arrives." The voice came from behind her, deep and cold. Seraphina turned, prepared to destroy whoever dared to challenge her. The words died on her lips. He stood 6 feet tall, dressed in the plain uniform of a scholarship student. But there was nothing plain about him. His hair was dark as midnight, falling slightly over his forehead. His features were sharp, angular, devastatingly beautiful in a dangerous way. But it was his eyes that stopped her heart. They were silver, like polished steel, and they looked at her with an intensity that made her feel naked despite her expensive clothes. "Excuse me." Seraphina's voice was ice. "Do I know you?" "No," the stranger said, walking forward with the confidence of a king entering his own throne room. "But I know you." He moved past Seraphina without a second glance and crouched beside the crying girl. His entire demeanor changed, softening. "It's okay," he said gently. "Accidents happen. Here, let me help you." He cleaned up the mess with quick, efficient movements. Then he removed his jacket and laid it over the stained tablecloth, hiding the damage. He helped the girl to her feet, his hand steady on her elbow. "Thank you," the girl whispered, looking at him like he was a hero from a fairy tale. "You're welcome." He turned those silver eyes back to Serafina. "Unlike some people, I was raised to treat others with basic human decency." The hall went silent. No one spoke to Serafina Blackwell like that. No one. Marcus stepped forward, puffing up his chest. "Who the hell do you think you are? Do you know who she is?" "I know exactly who she is," the stranger said, his gaze never leaving Serafina's face. "She's Serafina Blackwell, heiress to a fortune built on the broken backs of people exactly like this girl. A princess in a tower made of blood, money, and cruelty." Serafina's face flushed. Anger burned through her veins like acid. "You have no right to judge me. You don't know anything about me. I know more than you think." He stepped closer, and Serafina caught his scent, rain and cedar and something wild. "Than most people's houses. I know you've never worked a day in your life. I know you think your money makes you better than everyone else. But money can't buy what you're missing." "And what's that?" Serafina hissed. "A soul." Marcus lunged forward, but the stranger sidestepped him easily, making Marcus stumble. The stranger caught him by the collar, holding him upright with one hand. The display of casual strength was shocking. "Careful," the stranger said, releasing Marcus. "Wouldn't want you to fall and ruin your designer suit." He turned and walked away, leaving chaos in his wake. The students erupted into whispers. Serafina stood frozen, her heart pounding. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever looked at her with such contempt, such recognition, such hatred. "Who was that?" she demanded. A nearby student answered nervously. "Damian Cross. He's a new scholarship student. Transferred in last week." Cross. The name sent a chill down Serafina's spine. She knew that name. She couldn't remember from where, but it echoed in her mind like a warning bell. The perfect mass cracks. That night, Serafina stood in front of her bedroom mirror, preparing for the gala. Her room was enormous, decorated in white and silver. Everything was perfect, pristine, just like her life was supposed to be. But something had changed. She couldn't stop thinking about those silver eyes, the way they had looked at her with such intensity, like he could see through her carefully constructed mask to the emptiness beneath. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Pick you up in 20. Wear the blue dress. Father wants photos for the press." She put on the blue dress. She applied her makeup with perfect precision. She became the Ice Queen once again. But when she looked in the mirror, for the first time in years, she wondered who she really was beneath all the polish and perfection. The gala was held in the grand ballroom of her family's estate. 500 guests in evening wear, drinking champagne that cost more per bottle than most people earned in a month. Classical music played. Chandeliers sparkled. Everything was beautiful and hollow. Serafina's father, Victor Blackwell, held court in the center of the room. He was a tall man with silver hair and eyes like chips of ice. He built his empire through ruthless business practices and had taught his daughter to be equally cold. "Serafina," he called, waving her over. "Come. Senator Morrison wants to meet you." She glided over, smile in place, playing her part. She shook hands. She made polite conversation. She was the perfect daughter, the perfect heiress. But then she saw him, the ghost from the past. Damian Cross stood near the entrance, wearing a simple black suit that somehow made him look more dangerous than any of the men in their expensive tuxedos. He wasn't supposed to be here. This was an exclusive event, invitation only. Their eyes met across the crowded room. He didn't look away. He raised a glass of champagne in mock salute, his expression dark and knowing. Serafina excused herself and walked toward him, anger and something else, something she didn't want to name, burning in her chest. "You're not invited," she said when she reached him. "Neither were the people your father destroyed to build this empire," Damian replied calmly. "But here we all are. How did you even get in?" "I have my ways." He looked around the ballroom with disgust. "Impressive display of wealth. Do you ever think about where it all came from? Who paid the price for your crystal chandeliers and silk dresses?" "My father built his company from nothing through hard work and smart business decisions." Damian laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Is that what he told you? Hard work? Smart business?" He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. 7 years ago, your father destroyed a small tech company, accused them of stealing patents. dragged them through legal battles until they went bankrupt. The owner, a good man who'd built something beautiful, lost everything. His company, his savings, his home. His wife left him. His children suffered. Serafina's heart pounded. Business is competitive. Companies fail. That's not my father's fault. The patents weren't stolen, Damien said, his silver eyes burning into hers. Your father fabricated the evidence. He bribed judges. He destroyed that family deliberately because he wanted their technology and didn't want to pay for it. You're lying. Am I? Damien pulled out his phone and showed her a photograph. It was old, faded. It showed a man with dark hair and silver eyes, standing with a woman and 2 children. The man looked happy, proud, holding a trophy that read Innovator of the Year. That's my father, Damien said quietly. Thomas Cross. And the little boy standing next to him. That's me. I was 12 years old when your family destroyed mine. Serafina felt the floor shift beneath her feet. The name Cross suddenly made horrible sense. She remembered now, vaguely, her father talking about a lawsuit 7 years ago. She'd been 12 herself, too young to understand the details. She'd been told it was just business. Damien, she whispered. I didn't know. I was just a child. So was I. His voice was hard as stone. But I grew up fast. I watched my father drink himself to death from shame and depression. I watched my mother work 3 jobs to keep us fed. I watched my little sister get sick because we couldn't afford proper medical care. All while you lived in your mansion, wearing your designer clothes, never thinking about the lives your family destroyed. I'm sorry, Serafina said, and she was surprised to realize she meant it. I'm truly sorry for what happened to your family. But I wasn't responsible. I didn't know. Ignorance isn't innocence, Serafina. Damien's jaw tightened. You benefited from their suffering. You're still benefiting. Every meal you eat, every dress you wear, every breath you take in your perfect, privileged life is paid for with the tears of people like my family. What do you want from me? Her voice cracked. Revenge. Damien smiled, and it was the most terrifying thing she'd ever seen. Beautiful and cold and promising pain. I want everything, he said softly. You took everything from me. My father's pride. My mother's happiness. My childhood. My sister's health. So now I'm going to take everything from you. Your reputation. Your perfect life. Your precious status. And by the time I'm done, you'll know exactly how it feels to lose everything while the world watches and does nothing. He set his champagne glass down on a nearby table and walked away, leaving Serafina standing alone in a room full of people, feeling more isolated than she ever had in her life. The first crack. Serafina made it through the rest of the gala on autopilot. She smiled. She posed for photos. She played her part. But inside, something had broken. When she finally escaped to her room that night, she locked the door and slid down against it, sitting on the floor in her expensive dress. Her hands were shaking. She pulled out her laptop and typed in her father's name and cross-technology lawsuit. The results made her stomach turn. Articles from 7 years ago. Blog posts from tech forums. Comments from people calling her father a thief, a liar, a monster. And photos of the Cross family. Thomas Cross, brilliant and broken. Maria Cross, exhausted and grieving. A teenage Damien, his silver eyes full of rage even then. And a little girl, maybe 8 years old, with her brother's dark hair and their father's smile. Serafina read until her eyes burned. She learned about patent fraud, bribed officials, fabricated evidence. She learned how her father had systematically destroyed a good man's life for profit. She learned the truth about the empire she'd been so proud of. Her phone buzzed. An email from an unknown sender. No subject line. She opened it. Inside was a single photograph. It showed Serafina at a homeless shelter, wearing plain clothes with no makeup, serving food to people in need. She'd been doing this secretly for 2 years, every Saturday afternoon when no one from her world would see. It was the only time she felt real, felt useful, felt like maybe she was more than just a pretty face attached to a bank account. No one knew about this. She'd been so careful. Below the photo was a single line of text. The Ice Queen has a heart. What would your father say if he knew? What would your perfect world think? D. Serafina's hands shook as she stared at the email. Damien had found her secret. The one good thing about herself. The one thing that proved she was more than the cold princess everyone believed her to be. And now he had proof. He could destroy her with this. If her father found out she'd been fraternizing with the poor, he'd be furious. If Marcus discovered she'd been lying about her Saturday appointments, he'd use it to control her. If her social circle learned the Ice Queen was serving soup to homeless people, they'd laugh her out of existence. Damian Cross had fired the first shot in his war of revenge, and Serafina realized with growing horror that he'd aimed perfectly for her most vulnerable spot. She was the Ice Queen, untouchable and cold. But Damian had found the crack in her frozen heart, and now he was going to shatter her completely. As she sat alone in her perfect room, in her perfect house, living her perfect lie of a life, Serafina Blackwell did something she hadn't done since she was a little girl. She cried. And somewhere in the darkness, Damian Cross smiled. The game had begun. Serafina woke to her phone exploding with notifications. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Her designer dress crumpled on the floor, where she'd finally torn it off at 3 in the morning. For a moment, she lay in her silk sheets and pretended everything was normal. Then she remembered. Damian Cross. The photograph. The threat. She grabbed her phone with trembling hands. 57 text messages. 32 missed calls. Her Instagram was flooded with comments. With a sinking feeling, she opened the app. The photo of her at the homeless shelter had been posted to an anonymous account called Crimson Veil Secrets. But it wasn't just her photo. There were others. Students cheating on exams. Teachers having affairs. Rich kids buying drugs. The entire dark underbelly of the academy was being exposed. But Serafina's photo had the most attention. The caption read, "The Ice Queen melts for the poor." How charitable. Or is it guilt? What do you think the Blackwell fortune is built on? The comments were vicious. Fake. She's doing it for publicity. Probably forced to do community service for a crime daddy covered up. Rich people pretending to care. Disgusting. But some comments surprised her. Wait, she actually does charity work? Respect. Maybe she's not as cold as everyone thinks. This is actually kind of sweet. Serafina's hands shook. Her secret was out. The one thing that made her feel human, exposed and twisted into something ugly. She wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. Instead, she did what Blackwells always did. She got dressed, put on her armor of makeup and designer clothes, and prepared for war. The confrontation. Serafina found Damian in the library. He sat alone at a table in the back, surrounded by books, looking like a dark prince in his scholarship student uniform. He didn't look up when she approached, even though she knew he'd heard her heels clicking across the marble floor. "You posted it," she said, her voice low and dangerous. "You exposed me." "Actually, I didn't." Damian turned a page of his book calmly. "I sent you that photo as a private message. Someone else created that account and posted it along with dirt on half the school. But I'm glad you assumed it was me. Shows you already know what kind of person I am." Serafina felt her anger deflate slightly. "If you didn't post it, who did? Does it matter?" Damian finally looked up at her. His silver eyes were cold. "Your secret is out. How does it feel, Serafina? To have something private exposed? To have people judge you without knowing the full story? This is different. I was trying to do something good. And my father was trying to do something good too. He built technology to help people. Medical devices. Communication systems for rural areas. He wanted to make the world better. Your father destroyed him anyway." Damian stood, towering over her. "At least you still have your home, your money, your status. All you lost was a little privacy. My father lost his life." Serafina felt tears burning behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "Not here. Not in front of him. I know you hate me. I understand why. But I'm not my father. I didn't know what he did. You benefited from it." Damian picked up his books. "That makes you complicit." He walked past her, his shoulder brushing hers. The contact sent electricity through her body, making her gasp. Damian paused, and she saw his jaw tighten. He'd felt it too. "Stay away from me, Serafina," he said quietly. "This is just the beginning. By the time I'm done, you'll wish you'd never been born a Blackwell." Marcus shows his true colors. By lunch, the entire school was talking about the Crimson Veil Secrets account. Serafina sat at her usual table, surrounded by her usual friends, feeling like a stranger in her own life. "It's so weird," her friend Vanessa said, scrolling through her phone. "Who would volunteer at a homeless shelter? Those people probably smell." Serafina's stomach turned. These were the people she'd called friends for years. Had they always been this cruel? Marcus slid into the seat beside her, wrapping his arm around her shoulders possessively. Don't worry, babe. I told everyone you were probably doing it because your therapist said you needed to work on your image. Community service looks good for college applications. That's not why I did it, Serafina said quietly. Marcus laughed. Of course not. But that's what we're telling people. Can't have everyone thinking you actually care about poor people. It's not a good look. Serafina pulled away from him. What if I do care? Marcus's expression darkened. Don't be stupid, Sarah. We have a reputation to maintain. Your little charity work was fine when it was secret, but now that people know, you need to play it right. Say it was for your college resume. Say it was court-ordered community service. Say anything except that you actually give a damn about those people. Why not? What's wrong with caring? Because we're better than them, Marcus said, his voice hard. That's what's wrong. We're at the top of the food chain. We don't mix with bottom feeders. Your father understands this. Why don't you? Serafina looked at Marcus, really looked at him, and saw him clearly for the first time. The cruelty in his eyes, the entitled set of his jaw, the way he looked at her like she was a possession, not a person. I need to go, she said, standing abruptly. Marcus grabbed her wrist, his fingers digging in painfully. Sit down. We're not done talking. Let go of me. I said sit down. Marcus's voice was low, threatening. Don't embarrass me in front of everyone. Across the cafeteria, Damien was watching. Serafina saw him stand, saw his hands clench into fists. For a moment, she thought he might walk over, might defend her like he'd defended the servant girl. But then Marcus released her wrist, smiling his fake smile. Sorry, babe. Didn't mean to grab so hard. Just worried about you. Serafina rubbed her wrist where his fingers had left red marks. She looked at Damien. Their eyes met across the crowded room. She saw something in his expression that confused her. Was it concern? Anger on her behalf? Or satisfaction that her perfect life was crumbling? She ran from the cafeteria, holding back tears. The forced partnership. Professor Martinez's voice cut through Serafina's misery the next day in advanced business studies. For your semester project, you'll be working in pairs. I've already assigned partners based on complementary skills. Serafina barely listened until she heard her name. Serafina Blackwell and Damien Cross. Her head snapped up. What? You two will be analyzing a corporate merger and presenting on the ethical implications, Professor Martinez continued, ignoring her shock. I expect weekly progress reports. This project is worth 40% of your grade. After class, Serafina caught up with the professor. Please, I need a different partner. Anyone else? Professor Martinez looked at her over his glasses. Miss Blackwell, Mr. Cross is the top student in this class. You should be grateful. Unless you think your father's donations to the school should excuse you from working with scholarship students. The word stung. That's not what I meant. Then I suggest you figure out how to work together. First meeting is tonight in the library. Don't be late. The library sessions. Damien was already at the table when Serafina arrived, 10 minutes late because she'd changed her outfit 3 times, hating herself for caring what he thought. You're late, he said without looking up. Traffic. You live on campus. He finally glanced at her, those silver eyes cutting through her defenses. Sit down. Let's get this over with. Serafina sat, pulling out her laptop. For the first hour, they worked in tense silence. Damien was brilliant, she realized. He saw patterns in the business data that she'd never noticed. He understood corporate strategy on a level that made her feel like a child playing dress-up in the business world. How do you know all this? She finally asked. My father taught me. Damien's voice was tight. Before yours destroyed him, he used to show me his work. Explained his patents. Taught me about innovation and ethics. He believed business should help people, not hurt them. Serafina looked down at her hands. Damien, I've been researching what my father did. You were right. He fabricated evidence. He bribed officials. He destroyed your father deliberately. I know I was right. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. She looked up at him, willing him to believe her. I was 12. I thought my father was a hero. I thought our money came from hard work and smart business. I never questioned it. Maybe you should have. You're right. I should have. Serafina's voice cracked. I should have asked where the money came from. I should have paid attention to the lawsuits and the destroyed families. But I was comfortable. I was privileged. I didn't want to see the truth. Damien stared at her, his expression unreadable. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm ashamed. Tears finally spilled down her cheeks. I'm ashamed of my father. I'm ashamed of my family. I'm ashamed of myself for benefiting from your suffering. And I'm ashamed that even now, even knowing the truth, I don't know how to fix it. For a long moment, Damien said nothing. Then he handed her a tissue from his bag. Don't cry in the library. People will think I'm being mean to you. Serafina laughed through her tears, a broken, watery sound. You are being mean to me. Not as mean as I planned to be. Damien's voice was softer now. I thought you'd be exactly like your father. Cold, heartless, unrepentant. But you're not, are you? I don't know what I am anymore. Serafina wiped her eyes, smearing her perfect makeup. Everything I thought I knew about my life was a lie. Damien reached across the table and, to her shock, took her hand. His skin was warm against hers. The electricity was back, stronger now, making her heart race. My sister, he said quietly. Her name is Lily. She's 14 now. After our father died, we couldn't afford her medications. She has a chronic condition that requires expensive treatments. My mother works herself to death trying to pay for it, but it's never enough. Lily suffers every day because your family took everything from us. Serafina's heart broke. Where is she now? In a charity hospital in the city, barely surviving. Damien's silver eyes filled with pain. I came to this school for one reason, to get close to your family, to destroy your father the way he destroyed mine. But then I met you, and you're not what I expected. What did you expect? A monster? Damien smiled sadly. Instead, I found a girl who serves food to homeless people in secret. A girl who cries over spilled wine because she hates seeing others suffer. A girl who's starting to question everything she was taught. You're making this very difficult, Serafina. Making what difficult? Hating you. He released her hand, but the warmth lingered. I want to hate you. I need to hate you. But you keep showing me glimpses of someone real beneath the Ice Queen mask, and it's breaking my resolve. Serafina's breath caught. Damien. The library lights flickered. Closing time. They'd been talking for 4 hours without realizing it. We should go, Damien said, packing his books. Same time tomorrow? Tomorrow, Serafina agreed. As she walked back to her dorm, her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Where were you? I waited at dinner. You're ignoring me. We need to talk about your behavior. She deleted the text without responding. The attack. The next week, Serafina and Damien met every night in the library. They worked on their project, but they also talked. Really talked. She learned about his childhood, his dreams, his love for his sister. He learned about her loneliness, her secret charity work, her fear of becoming like her father. Something was growing between them. Something dangerous and impossible and undeniable. On Friday night, Serafina stayed late finishing research. Damien had left an hour earlier for a phone call with his mother. She was alone when Marcus appeared. He was drunk. She could smell the alcohol from across the table. There you are, Marcus slurred, stumbling toward her. My beautiful fiancé, hiding in the library with that scholarship trash. Marcus, go home. You're drunk. You're cheating on me. He grabbed her arm, yanking her to her feet. Everyone's talking about it. Serafina Blackwell and the poor boy. It's humiliating. I'm not cheating. We're doing a school project. Liar. Marcus shoved her against the bookshelf. Books tumbled to the floor. You think I'm stupid? You think I don't see the way you look at him? Serafina's heart pounded. She'd never seen Marcus like this. His eyes were wild, dangerous. Let me go. You're mine, Serafina. Mine. Your father promised you to me. We're supposed to rule together. Build an empire. You don't get to throw that away for some nobody. I'm not yours. Serafina pushed against his chest. I don't love you, Marcus. I never did. This engagement is a business arrangement, and I'm done with it. Marcus's hand cracked across her face. The slap echoed through the empty library. Serafina's head snapped to the side, pain exploding through her cheek. You don't get to be done, Marcus growled. You belong to me. He raised his hand again, but it never fell. Someone grabbed his wrist from behind, twisting it until Marcus cried out in pain. Damien threw Marcus away from Serafina like he weighed nothing. Marcus crashed into a table, books and papers flying. Touch her again, Damien said, his voice deadly calm, and I'll break every bone in your hand. Marcus scrambled to his feet, his face red with rage and humiliation. This is between me and my fiancée, Cross. Stay out of it. She's not your anything. Damien moved to stand between Marcus and Serafina. She just broke up with you. Leave. You think you can have her? Marcus laughed bitterly. You think the Blackwell family will let their precious daughter marry a poor boy? She's slumming with you, Cross. Using you to rebel against Daddy. When she gets bored, she'll come back to me and you'll be nothing again. Serafina stepped forward, her cheek still burning. He's not nothing. And you're right about one thing, Marcus. This is between us. So let me be clear, we're done. The engagement is over. I don't care what our fathers arranged. I would rather die alone than spend one more day pretending to love you. Marcus's face twisted with rage. Your father will hear about this. You're making a huge mistake. The only mistake I made was wasting years of my life on you. Marcus looked between them, seeing something in their expressions that made him smile cruelly. You'll regret this, both of you. The Blackwells and the Sterlings run this town. We'll destroy you. He stormed out of the library. Serafina's legs gave out. She would have collapsed if Damien hadn't caught her. He held her gently, his arms strong and steady. Are you okay? He asked softly. He hit me. Serafina touched her cheek, shocked. He actually hit me. I know. I saw. Damien's jaw was tight, with barely controlled rage. Did he ever hurt you before? No. He grabbed me sometimes, but never. She looked up at Damien. Thank you for stopping him.